Hello and welcome to your weekend message. I am your guide, Laura Fleming. So this topic has been up a lot lately, and maybe you've heard people talking about it, like being your authentic self, right? Authentic, when something's an authentic piece of art, an authentic, right? It's the original form, untouched, unchanged. And when I think about humans, we are touched by life in so many ways. I look at my practice of Reiki, what I do for work, as this peeling back of these layers where we're in a sense altered or touched by life experiences that then changes not the quality, but it changes the person. It changes your perspective. It shapes who you are and how you be in the world. And so when we think about the authentic self, it's like, well, we can't erase history. We can't take our history and replace it with something better to allow ourselves to just always be the same. We don't want that either. So it's okay that you maybe aren't embodying your most authentic self. We are taught how to be social with other people. So we're taught not to, grab a toy and whack someone over the head with it so we can fit in and we can get along with other people. There is something to socialization. We need that on some level. But I think it's been taken to a certain point, a certain degree where, right, the pendulum has swung from like unable to be around humans to, right, as a child at home, and then you go to school, and the pendulum swings to being what others want you to be. And then some people go through this rebellion where it's like, F that, I'm not gonna be anything other than what I wanna be. And sometimes that looks like rebelling with purple hair if your mom said, always have your hair like this, or whatever it may be. And so then whenever we swing one way, it always swings back the other way and eventually finds a balance point. So I talk about the authentic self because that is what I see when I'm doing my energy work on somebody. I see the root of who this person is. And some people have come to me before and I've explained that this is what I do, and they're afraid that I'm going to see something that they deem inappropriate or the world has deemed inappropriate or unacceptable in some form. So far, nothing. I've worked with all different ages, all different types, all of it. Hundreds of different types, animals included, and there's nothing I've seen or witnessed that makes me dislike humanity. It actually makes me love humans. It's what my work has allowed me to see people with loving eyes. I remember when Trump was in office and people would bash him and they'd ask my opinion, and I'd just say, I feel for him. I feel like he's hurt. I feel like he's sad. I feel like he's longing for something. He's looking for the attention he didn't get. He's hurt. And hurt people say nasty things. They lash out. So my work has, by seeing people's most authentic selves, I have deepened my love and appreciation for all humanity. So now I am the encourager, the supporter of you connecting to that authentic self. And I'm not saying be who you were at 2 years old, but there is a you that exists underneath the pressures of life, underneath the labels of being a husband or a wife or a mother or this kind of friend, the wild friend or the sophisticated put together friend. There's a much deeper, though I don't even have words, it's elegant, it's beautiful, it's magnificent, it's otherworldly part of you that exists. And I don't know if you've had the pleasure of getting very, very close to someone, perhaps a child or someone you cared for, or a partner or a friend. We all feel different levels of comfort with different people and allow ourselves to open up and be our most loving selves. So if you've had the pleasure of that experience, you've allowed yourself to open up, like think of your favorite version of you. Not the version of you that's necessarily liked by everybody, but like, who are you when you're your favorite version of yourself? Who are you when you're feeling at peace? Who are you when you have this beautiful interaction with a stranger and you leave going, I'm different because of that, and I hope they're different because of that little moment in time we shared together. I would label that one that I'm talking about, that I'm asking you these questions about, as the authentic self. And the gold that's within the authentic self, everything has its blessing and its curse. There are dragons you have to face to really get the gold, which is being your most authentic self. There will be arguments, there will be tough life lessons you learn through it, but ultimately, by being your most authentic self, you'll have so much less drama and chatter and unnecessary things come into your experience. Because when you're playing a role, when you're not being your most authentic self, you call forth different aspects. You know, if you don't really like the showy version of yourself, and then all your friends are kind of like, woo, and you're like, oh, I don't, like, that's not really who I am. That's who I was told gets friends or gets asked out, but like, that's not me. Well, then you look around and you're surrounded by people that aren't quite like you, because not because you're doing something wrong, not because you're being punished and you don't deserve good friends. It's just a reflection of what you're emanating. You're not being your most authentic self. So to be the authentic self, again, there's some fear involved in that, because if you are yourself, your naked self, if you will, your authentic self, then when someone judges you, you think that it'll hurt more because, well, I'm being my truest self and they still don't like me. That's what the mind tells us. That's why the ego develops. It's a form of protection. Okay, they don't like this and they don't like that. Okay, I'll play this role and be what they want me to be so I can fit in, so I feel safe. And so the mind thinks, well, if I'm my most authentic self, then I'm open to attack. I'm open to judgment that could really hurt me because this is who I really am. That's a very interesting thing, that when you are that authentic self, when judgment comes through, when people throw daggers, there is this shield almost, because you're like, I am being the truest version of me. And if you don't like that, we're just not a match. And I'm okay with that. Maybe it's a family member. You know what? You can still connect with that person, but in your authentic way. Maybe you're feeling this really strongly right now, in particular with relationships, where you're like, I want to work this out. I want to figure this out with you. Well, I will invite you to a miraculous solution if you would like it, which is when you're saying, I want to work this out with you, turn the pointer right here. I want to work this out with you, with my innermost self, with my most authentic self. I want to find what my truth is in relationship to that person. That person is just a condition. It's going to change. It'll be a boss. It'll be an animal. It'll be a passerby. It'll be something else. So don't get too caught up in the relationship, the condition that exists. Really turning inward and focusing on, what is this bringing up for me? What is this inviting me into? What next level am I being asked to push through to yet again reveal that the most authentic self is the being that I want to be? Let these relationships be a mirror for you to look back at yourself and say, okay, if I am being my most loving, centered, peaceful, authentic, truest form of me that I have ever experienced, what does she want? How does she want to go about this? You know, for me, being truthful is of the utmost importance. And I have found that with being truthful, I'm saying a lot less and being more deliberate with delivering the message I want to deliver. Again, with less words, but more intention behind it, more energy behind it about, yes, this is truly how I feel, and here you go. And when I say here you go, it's like I've done what I'm gonna do on my end, and I'm giving you the ball, and now it's your turn, and you can respond however you responded. But there's not this gripping, this holding of like, because there's a sense of peace that I showed up as my authentic self. So whatever this person's response is, it's really okay, because it's not going to make some sort of dent on me. How they show up is about their relationship to themselves. Likewise, how I show up is about my relationship to myself. And so you're going to have to ask yourself, and you're going to have to be really honest with yourself, am I being the truest version of myself? Am I doing this because it's what feels good and right and true to me? Or am I doing this because some unconscious pattern, some conditioning I have about people pleasing or whatever it is? And so when it's like, well, how do I know when I'm being my most authentic self? You feel connected, you feel supported, you feel there may be turbulence, but there's a sense of peace, like, I got me, I'll know how to respond. And maybe you're hearing this and going, I've never felt that. Never strong. And maybe that is true. Maybe you have forgotten, but you have definitely felt that with some interaction. Maybe it was even with me. Maybe it was with your newborn baby being like, I can't believe you're here. I don't know how to fucking do this. But there was a moment in time where you were being purely you. And to be purely you is not something that's been all that encouraged. Our parents wanted to keep us safe. We're doing that weird thing where you lay down on the rocks outside and you start humming. Well, when you go to school, you're gonna get bullied. So your parents are gonna tell you, well, that's weird, cut it out. That's weird, like, don't do that. As an attempt to protect you, when we as children internalize it and go, something's wrong with me. Something must be inherently wrong with me if I'm doing what feels good to me, and my parents, who are my gods, my world, my idols, they definitely have it figured out, right? They are judging me, so there must be something wrong, because that feels so good to me, and they're saying no, bad, like, no, don't do that. Alarms are going off. So we start going, okay, something's wrong. And then we start to question as children, well, what about this? Well, that kind of falls under the category of laying on rocks and humming, so maybe that's not appropriate too. So over time, we've got this laundry list of things that have been deemed inappropriate, or so we thought, and we move away from the truest version of ourselves. However, I said move away. I didn't say disconnect. That was on purpose, because there's no disconnecting. Maybe your most authentic self, maybe you touch in that realm when you close the door and you lock it and no one else is home. And you put your phone down, everything's down, and you're just laying in your bed or on your floor or in your shower, and you're like, here I am. It doesn't matter if you're tired, you're stressed, you're pissed off, doesn't matter. Because guess what? The most authentic self still gets pissed off, still is tired, still experiences emotion, but it's different. And I bring up the most authentic self because there is this shift going on for the collective, where people aren't subscribing to the ways they once were. And if you're kind of 1 foot in the old, 1 foot in the new, and you're straddling that line, well, straddling a line, straddling a fence, that's uncomfortable to have a fence post up your behind, right? Or to be sitting on it and like, I don't know which way to go. Indecision is just the pits, right? So instead of, okay, old world, new world, what do I do? How do I feel? What do I want? It's my most authentic self. Think of it as you have a drink selection before you. You've got root beer, you've got orange Fanta, you've got Sprite, you've got water, you've got lemonade, you've got mint tea, you've got every form of liquids you could imagine. Some are your favorites, some you don't want to ever touch again. So when you're embodying your most authentic self, it's like, what am I drawn to? What do I love? What do I really enjoy consuming? We're talking about liquids here, right? Well, what is my jam? I know I'm not that. And some things are really black and white for you. Like, I don't subscribe to that. Maybe something like guns. Like, you just are like, hard no, that's not for me. Where there's other things where you're like, I don't know, do I? Well, do a little taste test. You know when something resonates with you. And that's really what the authentic self is about. It's when you're in conversation and people start talking about other people, like, that makes my stomach hurt, and I certainly do it, but it's not me being real connected. It's me passing judgment. So I've been practicing when I'm in a conversation or around other people and there's a conversation that's just like, it's not even that I don't like it, because I think it's good to be disagreeable and have disagreements with others. But when it's like, this is just not where I want to be hanging out. This is just not a drink I want to be drinking. Like, lemon tea for me, like, I don't know why. I like lemon and water. Lemon tea just doesn't sit right with me. And so do I sit there and just suck it up and drink lemon tea? I certainly have. But do I have to? Is that me being my most authentic self? You already know. That's not it. And so maybe you don't even know what your drink of choice is. That's okay. Taste test. Have a conversation. Go for a walk with that friend who's you don't really know all that well, and you go and you're like, wow, that was great. Or you go and you're like, I'm good with that. Trust that this kind of experimentation is going to be a benefit to you. And that it's not about getting it right or wrong, or am I embodying my most authentic self? I mean, I said 3 different things today that wasn't my most authentic self, that I look at and I go, oh, that's hurt Laura, that's sad Laura, that's grieving Laura. Interesting, okay. So it's not about like authentic self and that's it. It's having this concept in mind and shifting the course of your life by bringing it into your awareness more regularly. And the simple question is, does this resonate? And what resonated for you 6 months ago probably doesn't now in some regards. So enjoy the process as best you can. There's no way to get it wrong or right. It's just this ebbing and flowing of feeling. Ooh, that does feel good. That really does resonate. I want to do more of that. I want to have more of these conversations. This feels so good. That was so satisfying. Likewise, the other side of it is like, that is so, what I wish I did not say that. Okay, yeah. And then we move on. We adjust course. Yeah, I said I don't want to do that again. I'm going to be very deliberate about hopefully not doing that again. And if I do, again, I course correct. I'll learn in an even deeper way that isn't my most authentic self. That's not how I want to be operating in the world. So if you're having a little tough weekend, please feel free to join my group healing on Monday evening. It's going to be a live conference call where all participants are muted. But I also record it, so if you can't make the live or you fall asleep, which happens a lot for people during this healing, and you can play it back at any time. It's there, I think, forever. And this company has never said like you can't play back after a certain amount of time, so that'll be saved for you for reference. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And even if it looks like a lot of cocooning and internal resting and softening, or it's filled with chaos, whatever it brings, I know for myself and for others that we are where we're supposed to be. And whatever decision is on the horizon for you, if you can't decide, if you're stuck in indecision, know that the time will come where that will just pop into your existence. You will know it when you see it. And so if it's not clear just yet, sit back and allow the other cooperative parts of the universe to deliver your answer to you. Thank you. Take good care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.